You're scrolling through cruise deals online and suddenly see a price that makes you spit out your coffee. A single suite going for more than a sports car, a world cruise costing more than a house. And you think, who on earth is paying for this? Because Regent Seven Seas isn't just expensive, it's the most expensive cruise line in the world. But here's the twist. There are real reasons, 17 of them in fact, why Regent can charge sky-high fares and still sell out. And once you understand what you're really paying for, those shocking price tags start to make sense. Number 1, Cooking Markun, all-inclusive to the extreme. Most cruise lines feel like a magic trick. They lure you with a low ticket price, and then once you're on board, the charges pile up. Drinks, gratuities, excursions, Wi-Fi, specialty dining. That $899 deal ends up looking more like $3,000 once the dust settles. Regent flips that model completely on its head. When you book with them, almost everything is included. Not just buffet meals and house wine, but 5-star dining, premium alcohol, unlimited Wi-Fi, round-trip airfare, airport transfers, gratuities, and even shore excursions. That means you can spend weeks at sea without signing a single receipt. Your only surprise when you disembark is how light your wallet feels, because you didn't have to touch it once. And this isn't just convenience, it's psychology. Their guests aren't looking for bargains, they're looking for peace of mind. High net worth travelers don't want to think about bills or nickel and dime charges. They want an experience where luxury feels effortless and automatic. Regent delivers that by baking everything into one enormous, eye-watering price. It's not overpriced, it's over-inclusive, and that's exactly why people pay. Number 2, palaces at sea. Step into the Regent Suite, and you'll understand why their fares can soar into the stratosphere. At nearly 9,000 square feet, it's larger than most suburban homes and more lavish than a penthouse in Manhattan. We're talking rare art hanging on the walls, a custom-made Steinway piano, marble sourced from Italy, and even an in-suite spa complete with a treatment room, sauna, and unlimited private massages. Oh, and did we mention the wraparound balcony with its own glass solarium? The cost? Up to $25,000 per night. And yet, it sells. Why? Because for the ultra-wealthy, it's not just a room, it's a statement. A floating palace that screams, "I can afford this." Every detail is designed for bragging rights. From handcrafted furniture to one-of-a-kind design elements, the Regent Suite doesn't just house you, it impresses for you. Even billionaires want to feel like royalty sometimes, and Regent has built an environment where money quite literally buys you a throne at sea. Most cruise lines sell cabins. Regent sells castles. Number 3, Michelin-level dining. On a mainstream cruise ship, dining often feels like quantity over quality. Endless buffets, fast food-style pizza, and maybe a steakhouse where you pay an extra $50 for something special. Regent takes the opposite approach. Their dining experiences are closer to Michelin-starred restaurants than cruise ship cafeterias. Think lobster thermidor served on fine china, Wagyu beef perfectly seared, and delicate pastries made fresh by world-class chefs. Wine lists aren't an afterthought. They're curated by sommeliers who source vintages you'd normally only see in Paris or Napa. Caviar service isn't an upsell, it's just another Tuesday. And here's the kicker. Unlike other lines where specialty dining costs extra, Regent rolls it into your fare. You can dine at Chartreuse, Prime 7, or Compass Rose as often as you like without ever seeing a bill. For foodies, this is paradise. For luxury travelers, it's non-negotiable. Because when you're paying 5 figures for a suite, burger night just doesn't cut it. Number 4, fewer passengers, more space. Here's something most people don't think about. Luxury isn't just about what you get, it's about what you don't have to deal with. Crowds, lines, waiting. On a mega ship, you're one of 4,000 passengers crammed into theaters, buffets, and pool decks. On Regent, ships carry a fraction of that, often fewer than 750 guests. That means no long waits, no elbow-to-elbow dining, and no fighting for a lounge chair by the pool. This also means bigger cabins. Even Regent's entry-level suites are larger than most balcony cabins on mainstream lines, often with walk-in closets, full bathrooms, and spacious sitting areas. For Regent's clientele, personal space isn't a perk, it's the baseline. And fewer passengers doesn't just mean more comfort, it means more crew per guest. A higher ratio of staff means more attentive service, faster response times, and a level of personalization you'll never find on a ship built to move the masses. Space is the ultimate luxury at sea, and Regent makes sure you feel it in every hallway, every lounge, every restaurant. That exclusivity, fewer guests, more room, is exactly why the fare shoots sky high. Number 5. Crew-to-guest ratio fit for royalty. On most cruise ships, crew are stretched thin. One waiter juggles a dozen tables, your cabin steward hustles between 20 rooms, and sometimes it feels like you're just another name on a long list. Regent flips that equation. Their crew-to-guest ratio is one of the highest in the industry, sometimes approaching one crew member for every passenger. That means the service feels less like hospitality and more like telepathy. Your champagne glass never empties, your favorite dessert appears without you asking, and within hours of boarding, staff greet you by name. On a Regent ship, you're not just another cruiser. You're treated like the only cruiser. Of course, maintaining this army of staff isn't cheap. Salaries, training, and benefits pile up quickly. But for Regent's clientele, that invisible luxury, the feeling of being anticipated, cared for, and remembered, is worth every dollar. Would you pay more for fewer passengers and more crew? Or do you prefer the buzz of a megaship? Drop your take below. Number 6. Exotic itineraries. While mainstream cruise lines cycle through the same Caribbean and Mediterranean ports, Regent sets its sights higher. Their itineraries read like a travel bucket list. Antarctica, Tahiti, Patagonia, Greenland, the Galapagos. Instead of day trips to crowded beaches, you're getting helicopter rides over glaciers, private tours of the Taj Mahal, or wine tastings at Bordeaux estates closed to the general public. These aren't shore excursions. They're once-in-a-lifetime experiences, baked right into the fare, and it's not just the destinations. Regent sails longer itineraries, often spanning weeks or months. Their 140-night world cruise covers dozens of countries across multiple continents. When you're on board that long, every port has to deliver something spectacular. Curating those experiences means partnering with private guides, chartering specialty transport, and securing exclusive access, all of which cost Regent a fortune. But their guests aren't looking for a cheap getaway. They're looking for travel stories so unique, friends back home can't even relate. With Regent, your vacation photos don't just show beaches, they show bragging rights. Number 7. Luxury materials everywhere. The moment you step onto a Regent ship, the difference hits you. Where other lines use laminate flooring and mass-produced furniture, Regent ships gleam with hand-laid Italian marble, polished teak decks, and blown glass chandeliers designed by artisans. Even the smallest details scream expense. Upholstery stitched from designer fabrics, cutlery from luxury European makers, lighting fixtures crafted like jewelry. Instead of cookie-cutter design, each Regent vessel feels like a boutique hotel at sea. These aren't aesthetic choices, they're strategic. The clientele Regent caters to live in homes filled with fine art, couture furniture, and bespoke design. For them, a cruise ship can't feel like a mall. It has to feel like an extension of their lifestyle. But sourcing and maintaining that level of detail costs millions. Marble has to be imported. Art has to be insured. Every piece of custom design means higher build and upkeep expenses. Most cruise lines build for efficiency. Regent builds for elegance. And that difference is etched into every stairwell, every railing, every stateroom wall. Number 8. Butler service and suites. On most cruise ships, butlers are a rare perk reserved for ultra-high-tier suites. On Regent, butler service is standard across top categories, and it redefines what cruising feels like. Your butler unpacks your luggage on day 1, draws your bath after a shore excursion, arranges private dining in your suite, and makes sure every whim is satisfied before you think to ask. They'll even coordinate shore tours, book spa appointments, and handle special requests like curating a cheese plate from local ports. This isn't just customer service, it's lifestyle management. The Butler makes sure your entire cruise flows seamlessly, shielding you from the logistics and hassles of travel. Of course, an onboard team of highly trained butlers doesn't come cheap. Recruiting, training, and retaining professionals at this level is a huge operational expense. But it's also one of the clearest markers of Regent's luxury standard. Because for the clientele paying tens of thousands per voyage, having someone on call to make life frictionless isn't a perk. It's expected. Number 9, business class flights included. For most cruise lines, the fare gets you on board. And that's it. Airfare, transfers, pre-cruise hotels, all on you. Regent, on the other hand, bundles in round-trip business class flights with nearly every itinerary. Think about what that means. Instead of cramming into economy, guests start their trip stretched out in a lie-flat seat, sipping champagne at 35,000 feet. For those in the upper suites, Regent sometimes even arranges private jet transfers. These aren't discounted bulk tickets either. Business class airfare across continents can run $5,000 to $10,000 per person. When you roll that into a couple's cruise fare, you've already added tens of thousands in value before the ship even leaves port. It's a logistical headache for Regent, negotiating airline partnerships, securing seats, coordinating transfers. But it's also a powerful selling point, because for their clientele, the vacation doesn't start at embarkation. It starts the moment they step into the airport lounge. Other cruise lines make you pay to get there. Regent makes sure you arrive in style. Number 10, unlimited shore excursions. Here's where Regent really outshines the competition. On most cruises, shore excursions are a cash cow. A guided city tour might cost $100, a cultural experience $300, and adventure tours like glacier hikes can run $500 or more. Per person, per port. Regent, they throw the rulebook out. Guests can take as many excursions as they like, and it's all included. Wine tastings in Tuscany, flamenco lessons in Spain, snorkeling in Tahiti. Sign up for 2 in 1 day if you want. There's no bill waiting when you get back on board. Of course, unlimited isn't cheap to provide. Regent has to contract with private operators, hire expert guides, and sometimes even charter vehicles or boats exclusively for their guests. But this unlimited model isn't just generous, it's strategic. It removes friction. Guests never hesitate, never second guess if an excursion is worth it. They simply experience everything. And that abundance becomes part of the Regent identity, a cruise where you never have to say no. If excursions were unlimited, which one would you book first? Wine, culture, or adventure? Number 11, world cruises with million-dollar price tags. If you want the ultimate bragging rights, Regent has you covered with its legendary world cruises. The crown jewel, a 140-night voyage that literally spans the globe. Prices start steep and skyrocket with the suite categories. The top-tier Regent suite for this journey? A jaw-dropping $1.7 million for 2 passengers. That's not a typo. It's the cost of a luxury home. And here's the kicker. These voyages sell out fast. Why? Because for ultra-wealthy travelers, price is part of the allure. A world cruise isn't just about checking ports off a list. It's about exclusivity, about buying an experience so rare that most people can't even dream of it. It's also about convenience. Instead of booking dozens of individual trips, you unpack once, settle into your suite, and see the world in unmatched comfort. For those who can afford it, that simplicity and that story is worth 7 figures. Most cruise lines advertise the trip of a lifetime. Regent literally prices theirs like one. Number 12, prestige pricing psychology. Here's the subtle genius of Regent. The high price isn't just about covering costs, it's about branding. For their clientele, expensive doesn't repel, it attracts. A $500 cruise might be fun, but it doesn't make you feel special. A $50,000 cruise, however, signals that you've entered a world reserved for the few. This is called prestige pricing, where the expense itself becomes part of the product. It's the same reason luxury handbags, sports cars, and private clubs thrive. The cost is the barrier, and the barrier is the appeal. Regent's fares act as a filter. They make sure only a certain kind of traveler comes on board. Affluent, discerning, and ready to spend for exclusivity. That exclusivity then feeds the onboard atmosphere. Guests feel like they're among peers, not masses. So yes, Regent could lower fares. But if they did, they'd lose the very thing that makes them desirable. For their market, expensive isn't a downside. It's the brand promise. Number 13, unlimited premium beverages. On mainstream cruise lines, alcohol is one of the biggest moneymakers. Cocktails can run $15 to $20 each. Wine lists are stacked with markups, and if you want unlimited drinks, you'll pay hundreds per person for a beverage package. Regent doesn't play that game. Every bar, every restaurant, every suite includes premium beverages. Not house wine, not generic beer. We're talking Dom Perignon champagne, rare vintages, single malt scotch, craft cocktails made with top-shelf spirits, all included in the fare. This approach does two things. First, it reinforces Regent's luxury promise. Their guests don't want to ask if something is covered or extra. They want to order what they want without hesitation. Second, it creates an atmosphere of abundance. No one on board is thinking about budgets. They're thinking about indulgence. Of course, stocking ships with luxury labels and training bartenders to craft high-end cocktails is expensive, but it also removes friction. And for Regent's clientele, that seamlessness is priceless. When you raise a glass on Regent, you're not just drinking, you're tasting what money can buy. Number 14, wellness and spa experiences. Wellness has become the new luxury. Regent knows this, which is why their serene spa and wellness goes far beyond a typical massage menu. Guests can book nutrition consultations, meditation sessions, and holistic treatments that rival world-class resorts. Some itineraries even integrate local wellness traditions, Ayurvedic therapies in India, volcanic stone treatments in Iceland, or thalassotherapy pools in the Mediterranean. And here's the kicker. For those in the highest suites, treatments are unlimited, delivered in your own in-suite spa. Imagine ending a day of Antarctic exploration with a private hot stone massage without ever leaving your cabin. Maintaining that caliber of spa service requires top-tier professionals, specialized facilities, and constant investment in equipment and products. But for Regent's audience, wellness isn't an optional indulgence. It's a lifestyle expectation. Would you spend your time in the spa, the bar, or the shore excursions? Where's your luxury splurge? Number 15, frequent ship-wide refurbishments. Luxury guests don't tolerate tired decor or worn carpets. Regent invests millions in regular, full-scale refurbishments to keep every ship feeling brand new. Cabins get refreshed, public spaces get redesigned, and technology is upgraded long before it feels outdated. These aren't budget touch-ups either. We're talking full suites refitted with marble bathrooms, custom furniture, and state-of-the-art lighting. Even art collections rotate, ensuring every sailing feels current and curated. For most lines, refurbishments happen only when ships show wear or start drawing complaints. Regent does it proactively because their clientele expects perfection. That constant reinvestment is part of the fare. Guests aren't just paying for the cruise, they're paying to never see anything less than flawless. It's like luxury fashion. No one wants last season's look. On Regent, you always get the latest version of luxury. Number 16, exclusive guest speakers and partnerships. Regent isn't just about where you sail, it's about who you sail with. They partner with institutions like the Smithsonian to bring onboard historians, scientists, and cultural experts who give lectures and lead tours. They also host Michelin-starred chefs for culinary demonstrations, authors for intimate talks, and performers who usually headline global stages. These appearances aren't cheap. Flying in talent, covering their fees, and integrating their expertise into the voyage costs Regent a fortune. But it transforms the experience. Instead of just seeing a destination, guests learn from the best minds in the world while they travel. It's education, culture, and entertainment wrapped into one seamless package. For wealthy, well-traveled guests, that intellectual enrichment is just as valuable as the fine dining and the butler service. Regent sells not just luxury, but prestige knowledge. Number 17, every suite has an ocean view. On most cruise lines, the cheapest cabins are inside rooms, no window, no balcony, just four walls and artificial light. They're designed to pack in passengers at a low fare and squeeze out as much revenue as possible. Regent doesn't believe in inside cabins. Every single suite on their ships comes with either a balcony or at least a large picture window. That means every guest, no matter what category they book, wakes up to natural light, sea views, and fresh air. This design choice isn't just about comfort, it's about exclusivity. By eliminating inside cabins, Regent sets a higher baseline. Their ships are built entirely around the idea that every traveler deserves an oceanfront experience. Of course, building ships this way is dramatically more expensive. It means fewer total cabins, fewer passengers, and far higher construction costs. But it also means that Regent can guarantee a level of quality across the board that no mass market line can touch. On Regent, there's no such thing as cheap seats. Everyone sails with a view. Conclusion: strategic luxury, not random excess. So here's the truth. Regent isn't the most expensive cruise line by accident. They're the most expensive because they've engineered it that way, deliberately, strategically, and unapologetically. From their all-inclusive model that erases every nickel and dime charge, to suites that feel more like palaces than cabins, to business-class flights, unlimited excursions, Michelin-level dining, and private butlers. Every single element of the Regent experience is designed to justify the price tag. But here's the twist. The price isn't just covering costs, it's part of the allure. For Regent's clientele, a $500 cruise doesn't feel special, a $50,000 cruise does, a $1 million world voyage does. Expensive isn't the problem. Expensive is the product. And that's why Regent doesn't just sell cruises. They sell prestige, exclusivity, and the kind of memories money really can buy. So now the question isn't, why is Regent so expensive? It's, would you pay for the chance to experience the most luxurious cruise line in the world? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Would you ever splurge on Regent, or is this strictly billionaire territory?